Live from Phoenix International Raceway, ABC Sports welcomes you to the season opener for the Indy Racing League. It's the Pennzoil Copper World Indy 200.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
And on 10 different occasions, this man, Greg Ray, has started from this position. The front row, spot number 1. 6 times last year, but he could only convert it to 1 victory. He hopes to change that 200 miles from now. Meanwhile, 21-year-old Sam Hornish has never started on a front row. His crew has cautioned Sam to be careful the first 2 laps. Vince Welch, they've told him, use it for recon.
Jack Arute, I'm back in row 3. It's what I call the champions row. On the inside of row 3 is the reigning kart champion, Gilles de Ferran. He's driving for Roger Penske today and making his Indy Racing League debut. In the seat right next to him on the outside of row 3 is the reigning IRL champion, Buddy Lazier. No direct competition between the two today because of their respective titles, but Bob Jenkins, 2 champions that are going to push it to the floor trying to get to victory lane.
And Vince Phoenix is all about speed. Lap speeds will exceed 175 miles an hour today, just a little bit quicker than in the mid-60s when A.J. Foyt won in his Roadster. With the track only 1 mile in length and with speed so high, there's bound to be trouble along the way. The driver who's the most patient, skillful, and lucky will survive the challenge. Last year, Buddy Lazier drove from the back of the pack and won at the end of 200 miles. And now Buddy and 26 other starters are rolling away and ready to challenge this track. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Welcome to Phoenix, the first of 13 IRL races this season, including the big Indy 500 that we'll cover for you here on ABC Memorial Day weekend. We have a couple of new faces in the booth this year. First of all, a 3-time USAC champion and former Rookie of the Year at Indy, Larry Rice. You've driven this track. You know how bad traffic can be.
Traffic is always the biggest factor here at Phoenix. You're going to be in traffic about 95% of the day. So you have to anticipate what you're going to do long before you get to the corner, and you have to take a few chances if you want to win this race.
Jason Priestley's face is familiar because he's an actor, but he's also a professional race driver, and as is the case most of the time here in Phoenix, it's hot today, Jason.
Oh, yeah, you bet it's hot, Bob. And they just ran a 100-mile support race on this track. That means there's a lot of rubber laid down on the track. Now, the Firestone guys don't know how their rubber compound is going to adhere to the rubber that's already on the track. You combine that with how close this field is. We had 20 cars all qualify within a second of each other. I think we're in for a very exciting race today.
Well, let's check the starting lineup and where they will begin from for 200 miles. Greg Ray, his 3rd straight Phoenix pole, and Sam Hornish Jr. on the outside of row 1. In row 2, Jeff Ward and Stefan Gregoire. Row number 3, Gilles de Ferran, the kart champion, and Buddy Lazier, the IRL champion. Now, Buddy, you'll recall last year here at Phoenix, started from the rear of the field in a backup car and went on to win the race. It helped propel him to the series championship. The 4th row, Billy Bode and Robbie Buell. In row number 5, Philippe Giafoni and Scott Sharp. Row 6, Buzz Calkins and Eddie Cheever Jr. The 7th row, Eliseo Salazar and Stan Waddles. In row number 8, it's Mark Dismore and Robbie McGee. Comprising row number 9, Elio Castro Neves and Ayrton Dare. The 10th row, Tice Carlson and Davey Hamilton. Row number 11, Sarah Fisher on the inside, flanked by Jarrett Schrader. In row number 12, it's Al Unser Jr. and Shigeaki Hattori. The 13th row, Casey Mears and Brandon Irwin. And all in a row in number 14, the 27 starter, the 3rd member of Team Dallas, Didier Andre. Well, we'll go 200 miles, 200 laps here today. This is the 6th IRL race here at Phoenix International Raceway, and it's a rather flat racetrack. A little bit of banking in turns 1 and 2. Turns 3 and 4, for the most part, are flat. Well, we've had a lot of changes in the league over the winter, but we anticipate a great race here today. Heat is always a factor. We have 81 degrees air temperature, but of course the track is much hotter than that.
Yeah, and the track's only going to continue to get harder as the race goes on, Bob.
Greg Ray and Sam Hornish up there in row number 1. Greg Ray, of course, the 1999 IRL champion. Didn't have much success in defending his title last year. Had a lot of pole positions, but only 1 win, and he ended up 13th in the point standings. There's the 27 car field coming out of corner number 4. And the green flag is out, and the 2001 Indy Racing League campaign is underway at Phoenix International Raceway. And Sam Hornish in that bright yellow car, the Pennzoil Panther racing machine, has taken the lead from Greg Ray as the cars streak down the backstretch and now head for turns 3 and 4. This is a D-shaped racetrack with a dog leg in the backstretch, but Hornish has taken the lead and will come down and lead lap number 1. That's Greg Ray running in second position.
Well, they told these guys to fall into line very quickly going into turn 1. It looks like everybody did a good job of that. Now then they're pretty much single file back through the field.
I guess so much for Sam Hornish using these first couple laps as reconnaissance, huh?
He is going for it. That's Stefan Gregoire back there in third position, and Buddy Lazier running fourth right now. Now, Lazier was the fastest in the morning warm-up, so that may give us an indication of how strong he is going to be today. There is Gregoire. There is Lazier as they come down to complete another lap, with Hornish continuing to show the way over Greg Ray.
This is the end car with Buddy Lazier. You can see the way he holds his hands on the steering wheel through the corners, his hands right on top.
There is Gilles de Ferran, the kart champion. Now again, Team Penske is using this race only as a tune-up for the Indianapolis 500. Roger Penske wants desperately to win his 11th title at Indianapolis. On board with Scott Sharp there momentarily.
And watch Scott Sharp. See how much different his hand position is on the steering wheel? Every driver has a hand position that will be different from everybody else. He likes to have his hands very low so he can use his elbows for leverage.
Gilles de Ferran being pursued as we're on board once again with Scott Sharp. Averaging about 100, well, the pole speed was in excess of 177 miles an hour on this very tight 1-mile racetrack.
This looks like this is shaping up to be a pretty good duel between Scott Sharp and Gilles de Ferran. We should keep our eye on this.
Gilles de Ferran made a nice move early in the race. Right on the start, he tried to pass a couple of cars in front of him, but since then he's lost a little bit of ground.
That's Billy Boat running right behind Scott Sharp. Eliseo Salazar behind him. Here's turns 3 and 4, then coming out onto the main straightaway. And boy, you're not on the straightaway very long here at Phoenix before you head into turn number 1. And from that point, you're basically in a great big sweeping arc. Now here comes an apex right here. That's the dog leg. Then swinging out toward the wall once again and apexing again in turns 3 and 4.
3 and 4 is a much flatter corner than is 1 and 2. These cars always have a tendency to want to push up in turns 1 and 2 and get loose in 3 and 4 because the corner is so much flatter.
There's the third place car on the left of your screen. That is Stefan Gregoire. Buddy Lazier right behind him. Lazier has main title sponsorship this year from Tybo. Jack has a report on Buddy Lazier, currently running fourth.
And Bob, early on in the race, the first thing Buddy Lazier did was radio to his Hemmelgarn team. Boy, the track is loaded with rubber. The car is very, very loose. Vince Welch, one of the things that Team Panther did, on the other hand, to compensate for that loose condition, was start Sam Hornish out with an understeer situation.
Well, and they're very happy with the way Hornish is running, and the Heritage Motorsports team is pleased with Jeff Ward's progress as well. He is running 5th, but they had a problem before they ever got the car started. Ward's radio wasn't working, so they had to actually change helmets. He got out on the grid a little bit late. Now everything is fine and no problems for Ward. They're very happy.
Ward running in 5th position at the moment, behind Buddy Lazier, with whom we ride.
And this is the traffic we talked about very early in the race, already into this lap traffic. That's Brandon Irwin right in front of Buddy Lazier.
He's already lost a lap.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly the car is strung out and filled up this whole track.
There's Stefan Gregoire going to the inside of Davey Hamilton, who's driving for Sam Schmidt Motorsports. Sam, of course, paralyzed in a racing accident, has become a car owner. And Davey Hamilton is his driver of choice, and that means that Hamilton continues his string of being the only driver to compete in every single IRL race that has ever been run. There is Buddy Lazier.
He's just thrown around Hamilton, and Hamilton has only had this car for about 3.5 weeks. They put this program together very, very quickly.
This is how quickly the traffic is moving, guys. The leaders are only 2.3 seconds behind putting Little Al a lap down.
Team Gallus has struggled all weekend, starting at the back of the field, all 3 cars. Here is second place. That is Greg Ray on the left and Gregoire on the right. Now, Greg Ray certainly did not get the start that he perhaps hoped for. He lost the lead quickly to Sam Hornish and has fallen back now quite a ways. And in fact, he has more of a challenge from Gregoire than he has for Sam Hornish, the leader of the race.
Well, Gregoire in that red and yellow car is having a nice race so far, and I believe you're right. I think he's catching Greg Ray.
Well, there's a 3 1/4 second difference between Sam Hornish and Greg Ray. Gregoire is third, followed by Lazier, Jeff Ward, and Gilles de Ferrin. More from Phoenix in a moment.
Indy Racing League. I would never think about getting in my racing car and going 220 miles an hour without being buckled up. And in my passenger car, the rules are just the same. Whether you're going 5 or 55 miles an hour, you should always wear your seatbelt. All of our racing teams put safety first, and so should you. The Indy Racing League and your American Red Cross, working together to help families across America lead healthier, safer lives.
The Pennzoil Copper World Indy 200 on ABC Sports, brought to you by Pennzoil, protection under the toughest driving conditions. Infinity, makers of innovative high-performance luxury vehicles. And Delphi Automotive Systems, driving tomorrow's technology.
We are back at Phoenix under caution for the first time in this race. Brandon Irwin, one of the rookie contenders, has made a spin over in turn number 2, didn't hit anything, didn't damage the car, kept going, and so this should be a very brief caution. But we do see some drivers coming in for pit stops as the pace car brings the leader Sam Hornish around. Let's get out to Vince Welch.
Stefan Gregoire's car is running very well. He complained about just a little bit of push and says they're looking for some grip, but otherwise this car that started on the outside of row 2 running very smoothly in the G-Force. Finished last season with 3 straight top 10s, and they believe they got a car that can do the same again today. Jackaroo?
Well, we're going to check in with Kevin Blanche. It seems like the choice you made to start Sam Hornish with a little bit of understeer's paying off.
Yeah, the car's real good right now. It's got just a little bit of push in 1. We're pretty much flat out in 3 and 4 right now, but he's getting through traffic real good, which is what we were hoping to do. So get back to green flag and see what the Pennzoil Panther car can do.
So what happens when the track starts to tighten up? I mean, starts to tighten up a little bit. Going to take that push out or what?
Yeah, we're kind of working on that right now. At about 60 laps, when we do our first stop, we got a couple ideas of what we might need to do. So we're hoping we get her right.
Larry, you know they'll do it with tire pressure or a wing adjustment.
That's exactly right. You try to adjust the stagger in the tires or the wings. That's the easiest 2 ways to adjust what you're going to do to the race car.
Well, just before we went to the caution period, Stefan Gregoire was all over Greg Ray for second. We'll see if that battle ensues as we get the green here in less than a half a lap.
Yeah, and Bob, that yellow flag didn't come out in time to save Al Luncher Jr. from going a lap down. He's already 1 lap down. That's how quick it happens here.
Yeah, everything happens pretty fast. You see that big question mark on the side of Dick Simon's car right there, Stefan Gregoire's car, that red and yellow car. They are looking for a sponsor, obviously.
They lost their main sponsor just a few days ago, as a matter of fact, so they would like to have some sponsorship on that car. It will run up front. The green is out, and we're back to racing. Now, there is Greg Ray, who is actually the 4th in line. There are a couple of lap cars between the leader, Sam Hornish, and second place, Greg Ray.
And Stefan Gregoire was all over him, as you said, right before we went yellow. So that's a battle we want to keep our eyes on.
Gregoire has run 5 races here at Phoenix, has never finished out of the top 10, never finished out of the top 10. Now, as far as Sam Hornish is concerned, who continues to lead this race, this is only the 2nd event that he has led in his career. He led 38 laps at Kentucky last year. But that was, of course, with another team, and it's quite a break for him to elevate himself to such a fine, well-funded team as the Pennzoil Panther team.
Here's Buddy Lazier now, has got himself up in that fight with Greg Ray and Stefan Gregoire. We want to keep our eye on that.
And there's the battle for second position. Gregoire to the inside, and he gets Greg Ray, so moves Stefan Gregoire to second.
Well, he did a nice job. He got inside of him going through that corner. Ray had to get out of the throttle. Once you get out of the throttle in these cars, it takes about a half a lap to build it up again. There's no turbochargers, remember. They're normally aspirated. So when you lift, it takes a long time to get those RPMs built back up.
And as we rode with Buddy Lazier, now we see that Ray is just up ahead of him. So we'll see if Buddy is able to close in here as they move through turns 3 and 4 and mount a challenge.
That's some lap traffic in between Greg Ray and Stefan Gregoire. That's going to hold him up. Maybe enough for Buddy Lazier to make a move on him.
Now he moves over. Greg Ray goes to the inside. The last car just moved to the outside, let him go, which was smart on his part. Let's see if he does the same for Buddy Lazier. Buddy Lazier now coming up on him, heading down into turn 1. He'll go to the bottom. And he does. He gives him plenty of room, makes it through.
That is Tice Carlson that is being lapped, both by Greg Ray and Buddy Lazier now.
And Tice Carlson's another one who just put this program together very recently with Larry Curry's team, so they had a short time to get their preparation ready for this race.
Meanwhile, Hornish has extended his lead over Gregoire now to more than 4 seconds.
Well, that Hornish car is really hooked up. He is just flying through 3 and 4.
He's a young man from Defiance, Ohio.
Well,
I was going to say the number 32 car of Didier Andre, one of the Team Gallus members. He was brought in with a handling problem a few laps ago, but he is now back on the racetrack.
That is Gregoire in that red and yellow car. He's in lap traffic right now, trying to get by, so he's got a shot at our leader, Sam Hornish.
The car right ahead of Stefan is Al Unser Jr., who has already been lapped back in 18th position. We've got 17 cars on the lead lap.
And you can see that Gregoire is being held up a little bit by little Al. Right behind him, Greg Ray and Buddy Lazier both catching up with him.
Yeah, this is shaping up to be a good battle once again.
Now Gregoire taking a peek to the inside of Al Unser Jr. heading into turn 1. Cannot make the move right there. Next time by, we'll do an after line. Show you the speeds of the drivers. Now Gregoire gets to the inside of little Al and gets by him. Now Greg Ray will try to do the same here on the main straightaway as they complete lap number 34.
See that little Al rolled out of the throttle just a little bit to let Greg Ray go by. That's just smart racing on his behalf.
Wow, look at this. The fastest car on the racetrack is Billy Boat in number 98. He's running back in 9th position. Second quick was the 92 of Stan Waddles. Now, Waddles has been fast all weekend. He did spin this morning in the warm-up period, but he's the newest member of the Himmelgarn Racing stable, and we'll look for big things from Stan Waddles. Meanwhile, there is Billy Boat.
And that car they've only had for 1 week. They put this team together very quickly. That car has none of the 2001 updates. That's last year's model car. So he's doing a terrific job with that car without the new updates, which are supposed to be better.
Billy Boat hails from right here in Phoenix, Arizona. And for those of you who saw our Indy Racing Today show on ESPN2, and there is
that's Scott Sharp we're riding along with there.
Great camera angle, huh?
Yeah.
Looking right at him.
You talked with Billy and his son, who's a quarter midget racer.
Yeah, I did. He's got an 8-year-old son who's been racing for 3.5 years already. I think that's pretty impressive. Of course, me, where I come from, the only thing we start doing at 5 years old is playing ice hockey. But down here in Phoenix, they get him started pretty early.
Well, Billy Boat is now coming up quickly on Scott Sharp in the battle for the 8th position.
Here he goes. He may make a move here. He may try him.
That's Eliseo Salazar to the inside of Al Unser Jr. Scott Sharp right behind him, and then Billy Boat. That's the car that you drove down in Homestead, wasn't it?
Yeah, I did. I actually had an opportunity to drive this car down in Homestead, and what the people at home kind of not really get the sense of here is just how rough this track is and how much these cars get buffeted around by the wind. You can kind of see it a little bit. You can see a little bit of the bodywork shaking. When you're actually inside the car, those movements are very amplified.
And look how stable he is, though, and you know he's pulling several G's as he goes around the corners.
Yeah, these cars are actually, your helmet fits pretty tightly in there around those neck supports. These cars are designed very safely and protect your neck and head very well. I was very surprised by that. I didn't know that before I drove them.
Well, Scott Sharp is about 15 seconds behind the leaders, Sam Hornish Jr., followed by Gregoire, Ray, Buddy Lazier, and Jeff Ford, currently 5th. Larry Rice, Jack Arute, and Vince Welch at Phoenix International Raceways. We kick off the 2001 Indy Racing campaign, and we're watching Stefan Gregoire there in the red and yellow number 7. He's in 2nd position. We're now on board with the 3rd place driver, Greg Ray.
And the car in between them is Ayrton Dare, who is being lapped by both of them. Gregoire got around him pretty quickly. Now Ray's got to put him back if he wants to get up there and battle with Gregoire.
Hey, you know, guys, in the top 5, we've got the 1st place driver, the 2nd place driver, the 5th, and the 6th place driver are all very hungry young IRL drivers looking for their first win in this series.
19 different drivers have won in the previous 43 IRL races, but we have 4 in the top 6 that have never won in IRL competition. Let's go down to trying to get a report from the Roger Penske pit. Actually, his drivers are doing pretty well right now. And DeFerrin is running 6th and Castro Neves 11th, Vince.
That's right, Bob. In fact, Castro Neves is up 6 spots to that 11th position. And Gilles DeFerrin, as you mentioned, running a very steady 6th. The Penske team says the key to Phoenix is consistency. You're not going to win the race this early in the race. They're very happy with their pace, and they'll let the race come to them and make their move later in the event.
Well, we look forward to seeing both the Penske drivers at the Indianapolis 500 this year. Of course, Team Ganassi is expected to be there from the kart series. We anticipate Michael Andretti being there also. And, of course, we will welcome back to the driving ranks Ari Leyendijk, who was with us in the booth last year, but he's come out of retirement and will be back on track. That's Sarah Fisher to the left, and 2nd place Gregoire in the middle, and Greg Ray, 3rd place car right behind him.
Yeah, they're catching Sarah Fisher very quickly, as you can see right here.
Sarah got some sponsorship on that car. Kroger, along with Procter & Gamble, will be helping her and Team Walker through the 2001 Indy Racing League campaign.
You know, she's been having a great weekend this weekend and really shown herself well, I think, and really impressed everybody out here at the stands. And you know, it's good to see a young lady like that who's so proficient at driving a race car.
Yeah, you can see Gregoire went around on the outside going through that last corner. She got held up by Hattori in front of her and got out of the throttle, so he just flew by on the outside. And
so we have Sarah separating now, 2nd and 3rd place, Gregoire and Ray. Sam Hornish Jr. continues to lead. He had over a 3.5, almost a 4-second lead a few laps ago. However, that has shrunk now to about half of that. It's just a little over 2 seconds, as Hornish is also caught in a bit of traffic. Jack Arute?
Well, Bob, you were talking about folks that might be making a return to the IRL. You're looking at Wally Dallenbach, who for the last 10 years has been competing on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit. He's down in the Pennzoil Panther pit, and when I spoke to Wally earlier today, he told me that most likely you will see him at the wheel of a Pennzoil Panther car for the 2001 season here in Indy Racing League competition.
Wow, we really look forward to that.
Yeah, they told me that they were working very hard on the sponsorship, and the whole team really wants him as part of the team.
There is Hornish there, and here comes 2nd place Gregoire and Ray. Ray able to dispose of a slower car there and get now within sight of Gregoire.
But you can see how busy it is out there and how quick the closing time is on some of these lap cars. A few minutes ago, we saw Sarah coming up on a slower car, and she was trying to be lapped at the same time by Gregoire. So there's just traffic and things happening all the time.
Speeds down around 155.
Here, this is a pass for second place right here. Wow, Greg Ray just went around Greg 1 on the outside. That car must be really hooked up.
Coming off corner number 2, where the wall comes up very, very quickly. And look at Ray blow by some slower cars now.
He's obviously found a higher line through those corners. It seems to be working well for his car.
Now we're looking at Greg Ray from Scott Sharp.
And that was Gregoire that just went around Scott Sharp.
Whoa, look at that. A little twitchy right there.
Man, that was a big-time wiggle right there. You can really feel that when you're sitting in the seat.
Wow, look at that. You can see Scott Sharp had to roll. You can see that Mark Dismore had to roll out of the throttle right there when Gregoire got sideways in front of him, and another car went by him.
Dismore running back in 17th position. That's Buzz Calkins now that Gregoire goes to the inside of. Buzz Calkins running in 16th position. He is a lap down. At Phoenix International Raceway, we welcome you to the opener of the Indy Racing League for 2001, the Pennzoil Copper World Indy 200. 3 events this year before we get to the Indianapolis 500 on Memorial Day weekend, and a total of 13 events in the IRL schedule. We'll wrap it up in the middle of September at Texas Motor Speedway, where we had such a great race. Well, 2 great races last year. Sarah Fisher seems to have found some speed here in the recent laps.
Yeah, she just went around Buzz Calkins on the outside there. Looked like she's got things going a little better. And a lot of times when the fuel goes away, the balance on the car will get better, depending on how you have the car set up.
There is Buddy Lazier and Gilles de Ferran as they battle for the 5th position. Right behind them, in the purple and yellow and white car, is Eliseo Salazar. So some good competition going on here, but Sam Hornish continues to lead. Lots of activity now, switching from the racetrack to pit road as Sam Hornish relinquishes the lead. Actually, he had been passed by Greg Ray on the racetrack just a few laps ago. Here it is, coming down the front straightaway. Got a good run on, Greg Ray got a good run on Sam.
He got a great run. It looks like as the fuel went away, Greg Ray's car got faster and faster, and he just blew him away down that front straightaway.
And Rob, they're going to make a wing adjustment. They've taken some wing out to try and adjust for that. He crashes into Buddy Lazier. Lazier came across the front wing.
They talk
Sam
about
Hornish.
They talked about that in the driver's meeting. You've got to watch. You can't assume when they put those jacks down that you can take off. In that case, I think they just weren't watching quite close enough because Lazier obviously was heading for his pit right in front of him.
You know, Larry, we were all worried about the traffic out on the track. I'm more worried about the traffic in the pits.
Well, these guys, it is very crowded in there. They've got plenty of space, but you have to pay attention. This is a sport that you have to concentrate 100% of the time, and that includes sitting in the pits.
Back down to Jack Arute.
And Bob, there's a great deal of concern on pit road for the Pennzoil Panther team. They are concerned that Buddy Lazier may have crunched the front wing. They're getting a replacement ring ready. But boy, if they have to change this wing under green flag conditions, it'll be devastating.
Do we see damage is the question, and what do you think, guys? I don't see much.
I don't see much. And I think the
some
left front hit
observers
the
down
tire.
here, fellas, some observers down here say that they could see the crack in the wing as he pulled out. Let's check in with Vince Welch.
Greg Ray, your race leader, is coming in for his first stop. He has not made any complaints about the car, so the team is not planning any adjustments at this time. They'll just change the Firestones and fill it with fuel. Engineer Darrell Soppy said the car was running very smoothly, and now he stalled the car. Ray has stalled the car, and that is going to cost us the time. No, he didn't. Now he gets it away cleanly.
That was a great job by the crew. They got that engine refired before they finished fueling, and he got the thing fired up, and it didn't really cost him that very much time.
12.8-second pit stop for Greg Ray as he goes back out onto the racetrack. The new leader of the race is Gilles de Ferran, the reigning Kart FedEx Championship Series titleist, and he has taken his car to the front of the field. Scott Sharp running second. Helio Castro Neves is running in 3rd position.
Well, everybody's going to have to pit. Of course, they're hoping a yellow comes out before they have to pit. If that happens, it's going to put these guys that have already been in the pits at a great disadvantage.
Well, you know, it makes sense to see Gil DeFerrin running up front. I do believe Roger Penske's won at this track 4 times, hasn't he?
Well, that whole team is very well oiled. Rick Mears is actually doing the spotting for DeFerrin today, and he's done very well at this racetrack.
But fellas, what you got to be most impressed with is the fuel mileage that they're getting. First effort ever with an IRL car, and they're one of the guys going the longest with that Ilmore engineered Oldsmobile.
That's also true for Scott Sharp's car. They also have their engines built by Ilmore. Good to see the Kelly team running up front.
DeFerrin, Sharp, Castroneves, and Ray. And a crash in turn number 4. 2 cars involved.
3 cars involved.
3 cars involved. One of them is the number 9 car of Jarrett Schrader. There's a Penske car involved, but the car is wedged. It is the number 66 of DeFerrin, we understand.
The other one is one of the Kelly cars.
Did you see him? He just pointed to his head. He's looking at Schrader and said, "Look at this."
Yep.
Well,
wow.
That's a tough break for him. He was running. All that happened when, obviously, one car was heading for the pits and going very slow, and evidently the guys behind him just couldn't miss him.
And Larry, that driver was Gil DeFerrin. He reported to Roger Penske just moments ago that he was braking in the turn coming in for the pits and got whacked from behind.
Well, let's watch it right here. DeFerrin moves to the inside of the racetrack.
Oh, yeah. Boom. He just got nailed. Schrader just wasn't paying any attention at all as to what happened there.
I'll look at that, and then Scott Sharp just got gathered up into it. That's really unfortunate.
A costly accident here.
Yeah, Scott Sharp is out there with nowhere to go. That's Dismore.
Oh, that was Mark Dismore. I'm sorry, guys.
What a tough break for Gil DeFerrin. Everything had just started going their way. He was told to head to the pit. He was down where he was supposed to be.
So the caution is out, and we'll clean up the mess. We'll return for more of the Pennzoil Copper World Indy 200 after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
The Indy Racing League on ABC Sports. This Wide World of Sports update brought to you by Mobile One. Nothing outperforms Mobile One.
As an Athens device, you're looking at one of them designed by Michigan State University biomechanics professor Robert Hubbard. HAND stands for Head and Neck Safety System. It's made out of carbon fiber, and here's basically what happens. Drivers will put it around their neck. Then the carbon fiber goes underneath their shoulder harness. It's pulled tight. And if you will notice on the back side, it can be attached to the helmet with these straps. So following an accident, instead of the head just snapping forward, the entire body moves in one motion. The cost of a HANDS device, well, it can run anywhere from $1,200 to $4,000. Bob?
And we just had an accident, of course, up in turn number 4. Let's take a look and listen at this accident from the onboard camera of Mark Dismore. Vince Welch has an update.
Well, Roger Penske's driver, Gil DeFerrin, was planning on coming into the pits. His crew had already gone over the wall, and they were planning on coming in for their first stop. That's why DeFerrin had slowed. Also, a little bit of problem for the other Penske car. Helio Castroneves' pit speed limiter is not working, but he is the lone hope for Roger Penske right now.
And I think that accident was a perfect example, Larry, of what we talked about how things happen so quickly on this racetrack.
Well, there's not a big apron down on this racetrack. You can get down just so far, and then your right 2 wheels are still really out on the racetrack when you're entering the pit area. In that case, Schrader, I'm not sure, knew he was slowing down and just wasn't out far enough to give him enough room and ran into the left or the right rear wheel. And
it ends the day for Gil DeFerrin, who had a great run going, and Mark Dismore.
Yeah, Gil DeFerrin was having a great run this weekend. He really impressed everyone this weekend. I think his first weekend in this car, and Mark Dismore, I mean, what can you say? That's just such an unfortunate accident. He really just had nowhere to go, and you know, the Kelly team's been working real hard this weekend. I know that they were working really hard on that car and trying to get a push out of it this morning, and you know, it's just an unfortunate accident.
Well, the cleanup continues down in turn number 4. Let's take a look at the accident once again. That's DeFerrin slowing and getting hit from behind by Schrader.
Yeah, see, he was still above the yellow line there. He hadn't dropped down as far as he could, and I don't think Schrader thought he was going to come into the pits. He wasn't down to the very bottom of the racetrack. Because of that, Schrader was dropped down. He was higher, but he dropped down right behind him, and when he slowed to go into the pits, he just nailed him.
So we await the restart of the Pennzoil Copper World Indy 200. At Phoenix. Here are some rule changes in the IRL this year. No qualifying points. They have a collapsible steering wheel and a rear wing retention system for safety. The pits are assigned by owner points. This last rule change here is the one that comes into play right now. The race leader is the car immediately behind the pace car on all restarts. Now, we just had several cars waved around the pace car. They go back to the rear of the field, and so that's very beneficial to several drivers, including Sam Hornish, Buddy Lazier, Stan Wattles, Eliseo Salazar, and Eddie Cheever Jr., because instead of being almost a complete lap behind, they're at the tail end of the field.
And it also gives the leader a clear racetrack. He doesn't have to worry about slow cars. So I think it's a safety issue as well, and it's something they're going to try, and I think it's a good idea.
This is actually something that we did in IMSA for years, guys, and in GT racing, what I was doing. And we always found it was much better on the restarts and much easier for the fans to follow who's actually leading the race.
And the leader of the race right now is Greg Ray, who finished 19th at Phoenix here last year.
You know, Castro Neves is, they've been told that he's only going to have one more stop. He's going to make this a 2-pit stop race.
Wow.
That could be a big advantage for him.
All right, here we go. Back to racing as the green flag comes out. Ray, Gregoire, Castro Neves, Sharp, Cornish, Lazier, Waddles, Salazar, and Cheever, the 9 cars on the lead lap, and some tight racing as they head down into turn number 1.
That's Dare on the outside in that green car, and that's Castro Neves down on the inside. Castro Neves has a black dashboard. He's lost all telemetry inside that race car, so he doesn't know how many RPMs or how much fuel or anything else is going on in there.
Greg Ray separates himself from the rest of the field rather quickly. Now, if there are lap cars between the leader and second place, they stay there for the restart. It's just that the pace car picks up the leader regardless of where he is in the field. Well, we're almost to the halfway point of this race.
Yes, we're riding along with Eddie Cheever. He's the last car on the lead lap right now. He's back in 9th spot, and you can see that he's really not gaining a lot on the guys in front of him, so they've missed that setup just a little bit.
We've heard so much about the 35A Infinity engine that has been in development for several months now. Well, it's finally ready for racing. Both Cheever and Buell have that new 35A in the car.
And that engine is 30 pounds lighter than the other engine. That's why they've had so much trouble getting the handle on the setup. Cheever's usually very good at traffic. You can see right there, though, he had to get out of the throttle because he almost touched wheels.
And that is the battle for it.
Larry, the biggest problem they've been having is getting the push out of the car. And as you said, part of the problem, they're not used to having that other 35 pounds to deal with. So their adjustments that they made with the old car, well, they're not getting the results they want with the new engine in place.
Well, we saw that's Cheever's Infinity teammate, Robbie Buell, just up ahead. Buell is shown in 15th position, a lap down.
There it goes. Right now, he's moved down to the inside, and you can see right there, that is close. Believe me, that got everybody's attention. Got my attention anyway.
Got mine too, Larry. Wow. Wow, this track is so tight, and these guys are going so fast here today. This is really exciting racing. Gonna have another shot at him right here.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Wow, man.
He had to make that left-hand turn right there at the end, or he was going to clip that wheel. Very, very close.
Are you sure these guys are teammates?
There is Elio Castro Neves and Scott Sharp as they battle for the 3rd position. Castro Neves is 3rd, Sharp is 4th, Greg Wass 2nd, and Greg Ray leading.
They told Castro Neves a while ago, because he doesn't have any telemetry, they're going to do it the old-fashioned way. And he says, I don't know what the old-fashioned way is. They said, that's okay. We got a lot of old guys down here that do know.
And now we're riding on board with Scott Sharp. He's had a good run. He started in 10th. He's worked his way up to 4th. He's working real hard right now, trying to catch up to Castro Neves. I do believe that is Castroneves right in front of him, isn't it?
Yep,
Yeah.
sure is.
And you can see that getting through 3 and 4, he's a little loose. He lost a lot of ground down there. He gains it back in 1 and 2, handling much better down in 1 and 2. But when he gets down in 3 and 4, watch down here. He gets just a little bit loose, and he loses a little ground. He's going to try a different line. He went a little higher.
Also changes the position of his hands, Jason, as he approaches the corner.
Yeah, well, you do that a lot in these cars just for fatigue too. You'll take your hands actually off the wheel if you have a chance and try and relax them a little bit. These cars have so much downforce that it's hard to turn these cars sometimes. So your forearms and your hands get very tired. Changing position like that just loosens them up a little bit.
We're at the halfway point. 100 laps completed, 100 to go. Greg Ray leads at the halfway point as we continue to watch this battle for third position. Helio Castroneves on the left and Scott Sharp on the right. Castroneves won 3 times last year in kart competition at Detroit, Mid-Ohio, and Laguna. He started in 17th position and has moved up to 3rd. His teammate Gilles de Ferran was involved in a crash a few minutes ago. And Scott Sharp still looking for an opportunity to get around him, but is unable to do so.
Well, Scott Sharp has changed his entry into turn 3, and it's allowed him to get through 3 and 4 much better. He had to lift right there, but he's going in a little higher than he was before, and now that time he had to enter lower, and he lost some ground.
With Salt Lake City just a year away, victory at the World Figure Skating Championships could give one skater the edge in 2002. Michelle Kwan will battle the best from around the globe in the most important skating event of the season, the World Figure Skating Championships. See it Saturday night at 9 o'clock Eastern and Pacific here on ABC. The interval between Greg Ray and Stefan Gregoire, first and second, is 1.5 seconds. Then we have 5.5 seconds back to this battle, Castroneves and Scott Sharp. Sam Hornish is running 5th, then Lazier, Waddle, Salazar, Cheever, and Boat. Those are the top 10 as we have completed 104 laps. Down to Jack Arute.
Well, Bob, normally if I was holding up a knee brace like this, you'd think I was on the sidelines of a football game. But this is the knee brace that Greg Ray has been forced to wear since he had his practice crash a couple of weeks ago. He says the doctors wanted me to wear it in the car. He says, I want to be free in the car. So the knee brace is here with me, and he's out there with 2 knees fully exposed.
Greg Ray has never finished in the top 10 here at Phoenix. He was 11th in 98, 21st in 1999, and finished 19th here last year.
One of the new rule changes, no points for qualification. Greg Ray no longer has the qualification engine that they use. They modified that, and now they use what was last year their qualification engine to run in the race. They think it's stronger than the engine they had last year.
There is Stefan Gregoire driving for Dick Simon Racing. Is in second position, just a little more than a second behind Greg Ray.
This is a great run for him. He's really done a good job. He's been fast all day long.
You know, guys, that battle between Castroneves and Sharp, generally when 2 cars are dicing like that, it slows them down from the cars that they're chasing ahead of them. But they're actually catching up to Stefan Gregoire, which is exciting to see.
Allenzer Jr. is on pit road as we watch this battle once again, and it's even tighter. Now Scott Sharp right on that rear wing of Helio Castroneves.
Well, he's been doing a good job getting through turns 1 and 2. He's been getting a run into turn 3, but he loses a little ground down there. He's searched a couple of different lines trying to make up for that. So far, he just hasn't come up quite enough in order to get around it.
We'll be back with more from the Phoenix International Raceway in just a moment, where Greg Ray leads after 108 of 200 laps. Welcome back to ABC's coverage of the Pennzoil Copper World Indy 200 from Phoenix International Raceway. The Indy Racing League kicking off its 2001 schedule, and here is the battle for the lead. That advantage that Greg Ray had a few laps ago has diminished, and now it is a nose-to-tail battle between Ray and Stefan Gregoire.
Gregoire's really caught up to him a lot in the last few laps here.
Yeah, they're nose to tail right now. Gregoire is catching him. I'm not sure what his problem is. Man,
Jack Arute, do you have a report?
Yeah, Bob, let me tell you, they suspect Greg Ray's team that they've got a push in the car. Severe understeer. They haven't been able to talk to Greg on the radio because he's been in traffic. They've been able to tell by the telemetry. They've got onboard telemetry on these cars, measures 65 different functions.
Gregoire to the inside at the end of the straightaway, and he takes the lead from Greg Ray on lap number 119.
Now, buddy, nice and smooth. Great job.
Well, they're telling him from up top that he did a great job. Everybody that was watching could see that. He just flew on by him. And again, Greg Ray obviously not going as fast as he has been all day long. He slowed down to about 160 miles an hour.
Stefan Gregoire was fastest in the test in the West. That's an open practice period for these teams. Before they come here for the event itself, he was fastest here and obviously is the fastest right now. He was second quick in the morning warm-up and has been somebody that a lot of people thought will win his first race here this afternoon. And we see some smoke from Greg Ray's engine.
Well, we had a report that the engine didn't sound very good. We couldn't hear it from the in-car camera, but obviously a lot of smoke, and that's never a good sign. Once they start smoking, they're not going to last very long.
More bad luck for Greg Ray. We're on board with Sam Hornish. And Greg Ray has decided to bring the car into the pits. Remember, last year he won 6 pole positions. However, he only won 1 race, resulting in a 13th place finish in the point standings. Well, he won the pole here today, but he is not going to walk off with the victory in the race itself. More bad luck. So Stefan Gregoire is the leader of the race. Sam Hornish running in second place now. Castro Neves and Sharp third and fourth. Here's Vince.
Well, a driver who can sympathize with Greg Ray and his motor problems is Al Unser Jr. He cost you today.
Yeah, the engine went away on us a few laps ago, and you know, we were just working all weekend and working really hard, and I just want to thank Star Super Pack and all the whole team at Alex Racing.
Al Unser Jr. looking ahead to Miami.
Stefan Gregoire with about a 6-second advantage on Sam Hornish, who started from outside row number 1, as we have completed 124 now of the 200 laps. Castro Neves, Sharp, Lazier, Waddle, Salazar, Cheever, Boat, and Robbie McGee are the top 10. However, 9 cars are on the lead lap. Just one serious crash during the afternoon. That was Jared Schrader, Gilles DeFerrin, and Mark Dismore. No injuries. Greg Ray is climbing out of his car as we are under caution to inspect the track. Back with more after this and a message from our ABC stations.
Watching the Indy Racing League on ABC Sports.
About 72 laps to go, caution out, so that means pit stops. Helio Castro Neves at the top of your screen was the first to reach his pit box. Then the leader, Stefan Gregoire, stopping for his team to go to work. And finally, Sam Hornish at the bottom finally arrives at his pit stall, way down at the exit of the pit area down by turn number 1. Castro Neves was, of course, the first to complete his work, but it's a long way down pit road. And watch what happens as Hornish pulls out right in front of Helio Castro Neves. Let's get out to Jackaroo.
Well, Greg Ray, you said to your guys that the revs started dropping little by little for the last 10 or 12 laps, and then it blew up.
Yeah, I mean, really disappointing for Team Menard and Johns Mansville, our new sponsor this year. I mean, you know, we had a great day yesterday, and we had a great car in the race. You know, as the track got worse, we kept on getting faster and faster, and I mean, I was really happy. I mean, everybody did a great job, but about 20 laps or 25 laps into it, before it finally let go, it just got slower and slower and slower. The car kept on handling, but it got slower and slower and slower. And it looks like something happened to fuel pressure, and it got lean, and it probably cracked the piston.
Greg, what about the track conditions? They were very slick to begin with. Is the rubber being worn off now?
Well, I mean, the track is pretty bad, but I mean, I think we had a pretty good car, and it's really disappointing for Team Menard, but I think the track's bad, but we had a good car.
All right, let's go to Vince Welch.
Stefan Gregoire came in. They took a pound out of the front tires, but otherwise they did not touch the chassis at all. They really like this race car. Wean the fuel just a bit, but Dick Simon says they can go to the finish if need be. Bob?
Well, the countdown to the Indy 500 continues when ABC Sports travels to the Sunshine State to bring you the Infinity Grand Prix of Miami coming April 8th here on ABC Sports. The Indy Racing League has never competed at the Miami Homestead racetrack, but they will on April the 8th. All right, we're going to have a green flag next time by, and once again, some cars have been allowed to go all the way around the racetrack. We've got 11 cars now on the lead lap. Stan Waddles, Jeff Ward, and Giaffoni have been added, so we're ready to go again with Sam Hornish at the front of the field, Castro Neves second, then Lazier, Gregoire, and Salazar.
Hornish and Castro Neves both got really good starts. They got a big jump on the third place car of Lazier.
You know, it's really sad to see what happened to Gregoire.
Uh-oh. Stefan Gregoire has crashed.
Oh, man, what a tough break. What a bad ending for a great day. They had a great run going today.
Wow. That's up in turn number 1.
Obviously, he's moving around in the cockpit, which is always good news. He's not hurt, at least he's moving around and he's conscious, so that's always good news. He shakes his head yes, always a good sign.
Gregoire last year here at Phoenix led 27 laps, starting 12th and finishing in 8th position. But it's not going to be as good this time out. Let's take a look at the replay.
Okay, we're on the 2 leaders right now. He's in the back. He just got loose coming off that through the middle of turn number 2. The thing just stepped out on him and spun around. He slapped the right side with the right side wheels. He just made a pass out there. Oh, he might have got touched just a little bit. From that angle, he did get touched, but I think he'd already lost the car before he got touched. The cold tires were a factor.
Let's go down to Vince, who's with Dick Simon.
Dick, did Stefan give you any indication of whether he actually got bumped there from behind?
Stefan didn't know. He basically said the back just jumped out, and of course we understood that Buell hit him. That came across, then Bill came in to get something repaired on the front of the car.
It's been a great run for you guys, but there's been no hiding the fact you didn't have a sponsor this week. What does this do for you as you look forward to Miami?
Well, all I can say is we've got the best opportunity for marketing in the world going right now, and it's unfortunate about Mexmill dropping out at the last second. They had committed to me for 3 years, but we're an aggressive team. As you can see today, we were just having a great run, and we should have won the race. In my opinion, we could go the distance. The tires were doing great. Everything was working.
Heartbreaker for Dick Simon and the Stefan Gregoire team today.
Eddie Cheever has some problems. He is in the pits, and they are going to be doing some work internally to that car.
This Wide World of Sports update brought to you by Speed Pass. Today's way to pay. It's free from mobile. Here now, Bob Jenkins.
Well, when we left you, Eddie Cheever Jr. was sitting in the pits. He tried to pull away, but could not. They wheeled the car back to his pit area, and it looks like it could be a terminal problem for Eddie Cheever Jr. We'll get back to the action on the track when we go green, but this Mobile One update gives us an opportunity to bring you up to date on what else is happening in the world of motorsports. Formula One ran in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and the winner of that race was Michael Schumacher, with Rubens Barrichello second, followed by David Coulthard, Heinz Harald Frentzen, and Ralf Schumacher. Now at the NASCAR Winston Cup race today in Darlington, South Carolina, Dale Jarrett wins his first of the year, followed by Steve Park, Jeremy Mayfield, Jimmy Spencer, and Sterling Marlin. There are 4 open-wheel races this weekend as part of the Copper World Classic, and Davey Hamilton is participating in all of them. He won the Super Modified race, was 10th in the Midgets, 10th in the Silver Crown race. Let's take a look at his victory in the Super Modified race here yesterday. Davey Hamilton driving it home, and of course he would very much like to find a second victory here this afternoon in the IRL race. Let's take a look at a race recap. After 136 laps, Sam Hornish leads. We have a green race average of over 157 miles an hour. We've had 6 leaders and 7 lead changes, 4 caution periods. And there are the drivers that are out of the race, those bottom 3 as a result of the crash down in turn number 4. And of course, Stefan Gregoire, the most recent to crash out down in turn number 1. So Sam Hornish is at the front of the field as we get set to go back to racing once again. That previous green was a short one because of the Gregoire crash. Castro Neves right behind Hornish as they head down into turn number 1 once again.
He looked like he had a notion to try to go around him going in there, but he thought better of it, pulled back out, and just decided to follow him.
And that caution period, fellas, has helped Sam Hornish. Like Castro Neves, now Hornish, your leader, says, we're going the distance. No more pit stops for that team either. With their fingers crossed, though.
Buddy Lazier running third. There's Eliseo Salazar running fourth. Here is Scott Sharp running in fifth position. Then Billy Boat, Stan Wattles, Felipe Giafone, Jeff Ward, and Robbie McGee, your top 10.
Yeah, we got the top 5 cars running nose to tail. This is shaping up to be quite a run to the end.
And there are 60 laps to go as 140 are now completed.
Of course, Hornish has never won a race, or Castro Neves, but guys like Billy Boat and Stan Wattles back there on the lead lap, they're doing a great job too.
For those of you who have been following the IRL for the last few years, you know that this Pennzoil Panther car has in previous years been piloted by Scott Goodyear. He has semi-retired. However, he will be at the Indianapolis 500, and he will be driving for Eddie Cheever Jr. So we look forward to Scott Goodyear's return to competition at Indy.
And even though Sam Hornish hasn't won this race, this car has actually won this race in 1999 with Scott Goodyear at the helm.
And you can see by the telemetry, the Firestone telemetry up there in the upper left-hand corner, they're reaching about 170 miles an hour down the front straightaway and about 174 down the back straightaway. And he doesn't get out of the throttle a whole lot during this lap.
You know, guys, we just got a report that Buddy Lazier's engine is making a popping sound, and it looks like it's actually smoking
Castro
now.
Neves.
Castro Neves with a problem and quickly dives to the inside of the racetrack, brings it onto the apron and into his pit area. So both of the Penske cars are having problems. Of course, DeFerrin was involved in a crash, and now Castro Neves appears to have some kind of an internal problem that has caused some smoke at the rear of the field.
Bob, it's an engine problem for Castro Neves, and they had just told me that everything was running perfectly with the race car. They had not touched the chassis all day long and were very confident they were going to the finish to challenge for the victory. And just as we were getting that report, Castro Neves' engine lets go. So extremely disappointing weekend for the Penske team with DeFerrin's crash and the blown engine of Castro Neves. Jack Arute.
Well, Vince, they continue to work on the Excite car for Eddie Cheever Jr. They think it may be somewhere in the throttle linkage, but they're not quite sure. Cheever refuses to get out of the car because, as you know, the more laps he can log, the better he'll have a points chase or a points total coming out of this race with 12 races to go.
When you see blue smoke coming out of an engine like we just saw there in Castro Neves, that's almost always oil smoke, and that means that the oil that's inside the engine is getting outside, and that's never good.
There is Sam Hornish, who has a 2.3-second advantage now on Eliseo Salazar, who has moved up to second place. Salazar, of course, is A.J. Foyt's only driver at the moment. However, we hear that A.J. will have more than one car when we get to Indy. Sam Hornish Jr. started 19th and finished 17th here at Phoenix last year. But this year, with the new team, he has been a real star and could end up with his first victory here this afternoon, but we've still got a lot of laps to go. Down to Vince Welch, who's with Helio Castro Neves.
What a frustrating finish. Your car was running so well. Did you have any indication it was about to let go?
Well, about the middle of the race, I start telling that I'm losing power. And then all of a sudden, in the end, it start hitting noise. This guy said, keep going. I said, all right. But then, of course, I let it go. It's a bad thing, but hey, let's keep going.
Frustrating day, Bob.
Frustrating day for Sarah Fisher also. We can see some smoke emanating from the cockpit in the area behind her on that car. So Sarah Fisher pulls to the pit area, actually. The car is off the racetrack. Don't think it's going to cause a caution, but it's a early out also for Sarah Fisher. A lot of smoke there at the back of the car.
That looks like it might be a fire. That's black smoke, so this thing might be on fire. Yeah. Hey, good guess, huh?
At least she realized it. Why aren't you getting out here, Sarah? Come on.
Well, at least she's got a brand new sponsor. You can see there with Kroger. That's got to help.
And we are down here, guys, and you can smell it, and you can see that the back end of the car is starting to get blackened. Finally, some fire officials have arrived to extinguish the fire on the back side. She still wants to get out. Sarah's still trying to get out.
Salazar caught Sam Hornish there just for a moment, but backs off now. I thought Salazar was going to make a move for the lead there at the end of the front stretch, and all of a sudden he apparently had the wrong angle into the corner because he had to back off.
Yeah, that lap traffic got in his way, and he had to get out of the throttle. It's cost him a whole lot of track time. You can see Sarah Fisher
She is
getting
still
warm in
on
there.
fire, fellas.
A little more
Very
immediacy
warm.
there.
Yeah, that's something they're going to have to work on. You can see her back was hot. It's in that it's in the engine compartment back there. That Hans device that she has on right there that Jack was telling us about. She's got it on, and I think that might have held her up a little bit. She couldn't get that thing loose and get out of the car.
Well, Larry, no, that really wasn't the case. The biggest problem was getting the head restraint that works around the inside of the cockpit and getting word to the safety crew that she wanted to get out of the car.
Well, there's Sam Hornish. He's on the 154th lap of this race with now almost a 3-second advantage again. So while just a few laps ago, Salazar within striking distance, he's now 3 seconds back. Well, Saturday, the top women golfers from around the globe, Annika Sorenstam, Dottie Pepper, Lori Kane, and many more take on defending champ Kari Webb at the LPGA Nabisco Championship. See it live Saturday at 4 Eastern here on ABC. There's Salazar. You can see how far he is behind. Here comes Scott Sharp, then Buddy Lazier running third and fourth. Then Boat, Waddles, and Philippe Giafone in his first race doing a great job in 7th position. Down to Jack.
Got a little hot in there, Sarah.
A little hot. She caught on fire or something. I don't know. It's been a long day. We've been chasing the car, but, you know, it's a good weekend for us. We just signed Mike Wright. Kroger just came on board with us, so it was a good weekend for us. We just didn't have that great a finish that we wanted.
How do you stay so steely nerved when a car's on fire and you can't let anybody know that you want to get out?
Well, you know, you just got to keep patience. I mean, that's what it's all about. Patience is what this sport boils down to, and we showed we had plenty of that, but, you know, what do you do?
Patience and maturity for a 20-year-old, Bob.
Yeah, she is only 20 years of age and shows a great deal of maturity out of the race car, and she has matured greatly as a race driver, too, in the last few years. And here is the engine going on Sarah Fisher's car. It happened just ahead of Hornish. Meanwhile, we have Stan Waddles, it looks like, with some damage on his car, and the caution out once again.
Yeah, you can see the right rear has made contact with the wall. It's sitting at a funny angle. That's never good.
He takes the steering wheel off and throws it out, and apparently is okay. He'll get some assistance and conversation from the safety workers who have gathered at the car quickly. Let's take a look at what happened.
Well, looks like he just kind of tried to get down under that other car in front of him, and when he pinched it, the back end got out from under him. He just did a spin, but he got into the grass, and that's why he got in the fence. He couldn't. Ooh, he hit that thing a ton.
He hit hard.
Sure did. That other car was Tice Carlson.
Yeah, he tried to pinch the car down under Tice coming off that corner, and when he did, the back end just jumped out from under him, and he backed into that fence.
Now the reason he hit the fence so hard is that, you know, as soon as those slick tires, you know, we run slick tires in this series, and as soon as those tires get on that grass, the car will actually accelerate. And that's why he ended up hitting the wall so hard. I hope he's okay.
The safety team is there assisting Stan Waddles out of the car. We'll be right back.
Indy Racing. See the most exciting races in the world all season long on ABC.
The Pennzoil Copper World Indy 200 on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Mobile One. Nothing outperforms Mobile One. Viagra. Ask your doctor if Viagra is right for you. And Frostproof Coors Light. Tap the Rockies.
Still under caution here at Phoenix International Raceway. Sam Hornish is the leader, followed by Salazar, Sharp, Lazier, and Boat, the top 5. Felipe Giafone's had a great race. Jeff Ward also with a good performance. Robbie McGee, Ayrton Dare, last year's Rookie of the Year, and Buzz Calkins completing the top 10. Stan Waddles has been removed from the race car. He had a neck brace on and he was on a backboard. He was put into the ambulance. We hope we have an update for you before we go off the air. We'll return with more of the Pennzoil Copper World Indy 200 after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Watching the Indy Racing League on ABC Sports.
Back at Phoenix International Raceway, Eliseo Salazar now running in second position here to Sam Hornish. Vince?
A.J. Foyt communicating with Eliseo right now. They've been having a little bit of problem with the traffic in front of them. A.J., has the traffic been the major problem so far?
Well, so many cars, 2 and 3 cars laps down, and I've been raising hell, so we just have to go racing.
That's A.J. Foyt. They believe they've got enough fuel to go to the end, but it's going to be close.
Well, you know, Vince, A.J. actually won here at Phoenix 3 times, so if anyone knows how to get a driver home at this race, I think it would be him.
You must do good homework, because you can't be old enough to remember that.
Well, you're absolutely right, Bob. I'm not old enough to remember that.
Fuel is going to be a factor. Buddy Lazier during this yellow was asking, should he change the fuel setting, and could he run 6th gear? They said no, so it must be a lower gear he wants to run. They said, no, we need to stay where we're at, because we got to conserve fuel.
Well, they're going to take the green flag on lap number 168.
Wow, did Hornish ever get a jump on everybody?
Sure did. Separates himself big time from the rest of the field as Salazar moves to the inside and tries to get by some slower traffic. We're on board with Scott Sharp, who's running 3rd in the race, but he's being passed by a car on the outside, and that is Buddy Lazier. Yep.
Now we're seeing Lazier as he's got a slower car in front of him. Oh, and he moves right down in front of him. Lazier, look at that thing wiggle. He was heavy on the brakes to miss Dare, and that thing wiggled on him big time.
Down the straightaway, they're going to go, well, I thought they were going to split Dare, but Scott decided not to go inside. Instead, he's going to pass him to the outside, and boy, came very close to Dare.
You know, that's good patient driving by Scott Sharp, though.
And that's Billy Boat right behind Sharp. That gave him a chance to get right up on there. He almost tried to get by him going into 3.
Boat's having just a great race in a car and team that came together very, very shortly ago. I mean, they have put this team together very quickly, but Boat once again proves that he can get the job done.
And Bob, with a team that does not have the latest update kits other than the safety devices with that car, they just didn't have enough time to get all the parts they needed.
This is the Agajanian car, and of course it brings back fond memories that I do remember, Jason. When J.C. Agajanian had the number 98 with Parnelli Jones, he won the pole for the very first race here at Phoenix International Raceway when this was built. Previous to coming here, they raced at a mild dirt track at the Phoenix Fairgrounds.
Well, no, I know you don't remember that, Bob.
Well, as a matter of fact, I do.
You can see now that Sharp has pulled away since they got out of the traffic. Billy Boat just got through the traffic much better than Sharp did. Once they got in clear racetrack, Sharp was able to pull away from him.
Less than 30 laps to go now. And that last time around, Eliseo Salazar was the fastest car on the racetrack. He ran the fastest lap. Let's see this time. Once again, Salazar is faster than Hornish. The interval between them is 2.5 seconds.
And one of the reasons maybe why is the fact that Sam Hornish is still in a fuel conservation mode. Remember, they are going to try and make this thing without another stop. They got to squeeze as much out of that 35-gallon tank as possible.
Just about 5:30 Eastern Time, 3:30 here at Phoenix as we are just a few laps, 27 laps away from the end of this event. The first race of the Indy Racing League for 2001, and Sam Hornish is the leader of this event with Eliseo Salazar, Buddy Lazier, Scott Sharp, and Billy Boat running in the top 5.
You know, I imagine Salazar is going to run pretty hard and try and run up to the front. His only IRL win came in Las Vegas back in 1997, so it's been a few years.
And Hornish is trying to become the 6th driver to win his first race from the 2nd starting position. One other driver who did it, it came here at Phoenix. It was in 1997, and it was Jim Guthrie. Tony Stewart also did it at Pikes Peak. Boat and Dismore at Texas, and Juan Montoya, of course, at Indy. Down to Vince.
Well, Scott Sharp trying to gain on the leaders here, but they have one problem, and that's just trying to conserve fuel. I was just speaking with Chief Mechanic Robert Perez, and I asked him if they had enough to get to the leaders, and he said, well, we got to get to the end, and that's the most important thing right now. So keep an eye on Sharp. Can he get to the end, and then will they have enough to get up to the front? Bob?
Just 25 laps to go. We'll take a break and come back with all of them. Stay with us.
As you ride on board with Buddy Lazier, as Larry Rice alluded to, one of the reasons he can't go to 6th gear is because there is no 6th gear. The car is stuck in 4th gear. And in that gear, Ron Hemmelgarn says they are burning tons of fuel. They do not think that they can make it to the end in 4th gear. Larry, Bob?
They run 3 top gears in these cars on a track like this. 4th is obviously the one that turns the most RPMs, and you can hear right there, he's on the rev limiter about halfway down. He doesn't want that gear, but he just can't do anything about it.
He is catching right up, however, to the 2nd place car of Eliseo Salazar.
And you know, it's obviously not slowing him down that much because Scott Sharp hasn't really been able to close on him that much, even though he's having that problem. So 4th gear must be pretty close to where he wants to be, wouldn't you say, Larry?
Well, he's going to be turning more revs. He's probably going to get more speed. But remember, Salazar is running slower because he's conserving fuel. He wants to make it to the end. If Lazier pits, he's done.
And that's why we see the interval here between Salazar and Lazier tightening. Up front, however, Sam Hornish still has a 4.5-second advantage with 14 laps remaining.
And Bob, they have given Sam Hornish the green flag. They're not worried about fuel anymore. They told him, be careful in the traffic, but it's all yours to win or to lose.
Let's update some other stories that we talked about earlier. Not a good day for Team Gallus. Didier Andre will finish last. Allenzer Jr. will finish 23rd. Casey Mears has not had a good day. He's currently in 20th position. Of course, the Roger Penske team, one of the cars was crashed out. The Farron had a crash, and Elio Castro Neves dropped out with engine failure. On board with Scott Sharp now, who is 4th, and he has his eyes on Buddy Lazier up ahead.
Yeah, it looks like that problem for Lazier is finally starting to pay off for Scott Sharp, and he's really closed up on him.
Once again, it depends on how much fuel they've got. If they feel like they've got good fuel mileage, then he can turn the wick up a little bit and go after him.
Just 11 miles to go, but that is an eternity when you're close on fuel.
Well, that's exactly right. They've told Buddy to use the weight jacker. He must have he slowed down a little bit after he almost caught Salazar, so they told him, use the weight jacker, get that thing going again.
Laps to go,
10 to go indeed. 190 complete at Phoenix.
Bob, one of the most frustrating things for the Panther team is the fact that Sam Hornish says very little on the radio. He says, well, I'm only going to speak when I'm spoken to. And they've been trying to get him to be a little more conversant during the course of a race so that they can tell what's going on.
He's done all his conversing with his right foot so far today. He's really had a good day.
Really has.
You know, guys, with the lighter fuel load in these cars now, and with the temperature in the track and the number of laps on these tires, these cars have got to be really twitchy right now. And I'm sure the track is really slick. These guys are working really hard right now to keep these cars underneath them.
You can see he is conserving some fuel. He got it almost all the way out of the throttle going into turn 1 that time, but not down the straightaway. He's flat in it.
Backing off to about 41% throttle there at one point before standing on the gas once again. Hey, look at this. We have Lazier and Salazar running very close together on the racetrack. That's Robbie Buell out there, and Buddy Lazier gets to the inside of him and tries to catch up to Salazar just ahead.
We talked a lot about traffic. This is where it's going to pay off. If you get through it, you're going to lead this mess. But you can see they're 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. They're nose to tail and got 3 slow cars in front of them.
And there's Scott Sharp right behind Buddy Lazier still. This is shaping up.
That is Jeff Ward that they're passing by, and Ward has a good race going in 7th position, although he is not on the same lap as the ones that are battling for position.
All 3 of them did a good job getting through that traffic, but now 2 more cars in front of them. It looks like Salazar is having a little more trouble getting through the traffic than maybe Lazier is. Oh, right there, he got pissed off.
Wow, that was a big push for Lazier.
Yeah, he had his hands full. Remember, that's the corner where he got hurt, so he was probably thinking about that.
Big crash here a few years ago that resulted in broken back, but it didn't slow him down because he won the Indy 500 that year.
Bob, we've just gotten some good news from the Emergency Medical Center. Stan Waddles is okay.
Oh, good. Boy, it was scary watching them take him out of the car, but they do that, of course, so that they won't injure the driver anymore. They very carefully take off the helmet, they put the collar on him, they put him on a backboard, and boy, you just hold your breath until you get that information, but we're glad to hear that he is okay. Salazar moving to the inside of Buzz Calkins, who is running in 9th position. Another good run for Buzz here, who was 6th in 96, 8th in 97, and 9th in 98.
Calkins did a nice job. He was aware they were back there. He moved over. He didn't give them any trouble at all.
2 laps to go, guys. 2 laps till the finish.
There is the leader of the race, Sam Hornish, driving for the Pennzoil Panther team out of Indianapolis. He will come off of corner number 4 and get the white flag. 1 more mile of competition for Sam Hornish from Defiance, Ohio.
Going low.
How would you like to be 21 years old and on the verge of winning your first IndyCar race? Wow.
Just turned 21 years of age. He's in turns 3 and 4. Is he going to make it to the finish line? He is indeed in his 9th.
Great job, Sammy. Great job, buddy. You're the man. we thought you were winning. Now we know you are. Well done, Sammy. I'm proud about you. Well done.
In his 9th start, Sam Hornish wins his first Indy Racing League event. He is the 20th different driver to come home to victory lane in 44 IRL races.
Well, Gary Pedigo, when they hired him, they said, we think this kid's got a lot of talent. He can do well. He was obviously a pretty good guesser, right? I don't think it was much of a guess. I think they knew.
For sure. Gary Pedigo, car dealer in Indianapolis, also owns the Indianapolis Ice Hockey team, but he loves auto racing, and he has gotten his driver, Sam Hornish, into victory lane in Sam's very first appearance with this team. What an afternoon for that young man from Defiance, Ohio.
Started racing quarter midgets at a very young age. Last year he campaigned with PDM Racing, and this year moved up to one of the better financed teams, and obviously a great move for both him and the team owners.
For a guy who grew up in Ohio to actually get a chance to drink that cold bottle of milk, I imagine that's a dream come true for him.
Helmet off. Let him get his helmet off.
Let's get out to Jackaroo in victory lane.
Well, you want to know what a 21-year-old looks like when he wins his first ever IRL event? The balaclava comes off, and here is Sam Hornish. Hey, kid, way to go.
Well, the car was great today. These guys just do an awesome job in the pits and working on the car, and made it pretty easy for me.
You sound so understated about this. You just won an IndyCar race.
Yeah, 9 tries, and we won on the 9th one, so first one with this team. It's great. The Pennzoil guys do a great job, and Speedway engines gave me the power I needed all day. Could pass anybody wherever I wanted to. So,
Sam, let's talk about the close call on pit road. After that first pit stop, you started to pull out, and all of a sudden, Buddy Lazier is across your bow.
Yeah, that was kind of got my attention real quick, and I was moving through traffic a little bit after that, and I kind of almost rubbed the wall, got up in the marble. So, just got really lucky today on a couple of things, and that's what you need sometimes.
I got to check and see, do you have ice in your veins, or is blood coursing through there?
I don't know. Like I told you before, these guys...
Hey, Bob, this is a wild victory lane.
And I know he wants to drink that bottle of milk at Indianapolis, but for right now, this is a very big moment for Sam Hornish. He's kind of shy, doesn't say a whole lot. Obviously happy, though, with his first victory. There are the top 10 here today in the season opener for the Indy Racing League. We'll come back with more from Phoenix in a moment.
Conversing after Aliceo's second place finish, just behind Sam Hornish Jr. Did you have a run at Hornish at all today?
Yeah, not after the last yellow, but before, I was catching him like 100 yards a lap, and I think, half a lap more I would have passed him, but just at that very moment, I got the 99 car, and I could, and then, I had finished first, third, never finished second, so I thought it was a good place to start.
A good debut as the only driver in the A.J. Foyt stable this year. What were A.J.'s comments to you?
Well, he said you did fair. He won here, some years ago, and I was really honored to drive number 14. This is my first race with number 14. It couldn't go any better, Now we go to Miami, our home Grand Prix. I live there, and I think we have a very good shot for the championship. AJ does a very good job setting up the cars.
Congratulations, Eliseo Salazar, second place today, Jackaroo.
And the first guy to come and congratulate Buddy Lazier before his wife, in fact, was AJ Foyt. Buddy, there's not a lot that you can do when you only got fourth gear.
No, I like AJ. He's my hero kind of growing up, so
hero grown up. Yeah.
Well, yeah, when I was growing up. So it was a hard day. It was a dogfight out there. We had a great race car. It's I don't know what I think we would have had at least been a factor, but we completely shredded fifth and sixth gear. We had nothing there. So fourth gear is not a running gear. Our only race gears are fifth and sixth, and we broke both of those. So we're running around basically in a restart gear, bouncing off the rev limiter probably 100 times a lap. It's incredible the Speedway motor held together. Good job for them.
Buddy, let's talk a little bit about the little altercation down on pit road in the first lap. That's one of the problems with those first couple of pits around the corner. You're a little blind being vectored into your pit stall.
Yeah, it's a little tricky, but it's also tight. And if guys leave stuff out, you can't get in. So everything's got to be real tight, both front and rear. And it was no problem. Our only problem was just breaking fifth and sixth gear.
Good start for a defense of your title.
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain too much. I mean, we're podium, third place for having having a rough day. So no, I think business is normal. We're really blessed. We got Tybo, Coors Light, and Delta Faucet supporting us. I got a great team. I think we're in for a good year.
Hey, 2 years in a row, he leaves with a car. He leaves with a podium finish. Maybe his luck's changing here at Phoenix.
Eddie Cheever Jr. describes Bud Lazier as a tenacious bulldog, and he bulldogged it to third place today behind Eliseo Salazar and the winner, Sam Hornish Jr. Scott Sharp and Billy Boat were in the top 5. Great run for Felipe Giafone. Jeff Ward had a good finish. So did Robbie McGee, Buzz Calkins, and Ayrton Dare gets a top 10 finish. In the top 20, Robbie Buell, Davey Hamilton, Hattori, Irwin in his debut, Tice Carlson. Stan Waddles only has minor bruises. He's okay. Sarah Fisher, Castro Neves, Eddie Cheever Jr. and Casey Mears complete the top 20, and there are the final 7 finishers with, of course, the big crash involving Gilles de Ferran, Mark Dismore, and Jarrett Schrader. The next race on the schedule is the Infinity Grand Prix of Miami, and you can see it right here on ABC Sports, April the 8th, as the countdown to the Indy 500 continues.
Indy 200 on ABC Sports, brought to you by Pennzoil, protection under the toughest driving conditions. Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers. John Deere, nothing runs like a deer. And Firestone, America's tire since 1900.
Sam Hornish Jr. has won the opening round of the 2001 Indy Racing League campaign. There is the wall that Stan Waddles hit. He destroyed the wall, destroyed the car. We're glad to see that he's okay. In fact, he's with Jackaroo.
Yeah, he's caught up with us along with his wife Jill. And Stan, you're not supposed to knock walls down like that.
Well, I just saw that, and wow, I know I'm going to get the bill for that one.
Here, take a look, as you can see. Try and tell us what you were going through.
Well, I mean, there were 3 of us running together there, and I was following Robbie, and there was someone on the outside of me. We were running real close, and suddenly, I was going around.
It looked like you had it woed right about now.
Yeah, I thought I had it too, and it felt all right, and then suddenly hit the grass, and I'm like, oh, this is over with. It's a real shame. We were running so well. The car's great. Helmgarden Racing did a great job for me. My crew were dynamite, Speedway engines, and, Tybo, and of course, it's great to have them on board. And it was amazing, and the patience of my wife leading up to this, since last Indy has just been amazing, so I'm glad to be back.
It's a lot more fun to be around now, Jill?
Oh, yeah, he is. I'm happy for him.
The Waddles, they crashed, but they got big smiles on their face because Stan's back for the full season, Bob.
Yeah, we're glad to see that, and very glad to see that he was not injured in that incident. Down to Vince.
Another one with a smile on his face is Billy Boat. What a run. 5th place today in a car that didn't even have the current update kit on it. Nice run.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the whole Beck Motorsports team. Greg and the guys, they did a great job. A week ago, we literally didn't even have this race car. They worked their butts off to really get it prepared. They did a great job for me today. Curb Records, the Ash Kicker program. I think we got 500 kids out here today. It was a great day for us.
Billy Boat, the 98 car, bringing it home 5th today.
Good run for Billy, and good run for a lot of drivers. Let's race recap here as the green flag went out. Sam Hornish wasted no time getting the lead from the pole sitter, Greg Ray. On lap number 76, the big incident. Jill DeFerrin and Jared Schrader, and an innocent Mark Dismore. Green flag came out once again. Greg Ray was the leader, but then Stefan Gregoire took the advantage. A few laps later, it was all over for Greg Ray. And a few laps after that, it was all over for Gregoire, as he may have touched with Robbie Buell up in turns 1 and 2 and slammed into the outside retaining wall. On the 163rd lap, this is the Sand Wattles crash that we just reviewed for you, but we talked to him and he is in fine shape, no injury. Sam Hornish Jr. wins in his 9th start in IRL competition, giving that 21-year-old driver his very first victory. Well, let's talk to Scott Sharp, Jack.
4th place finish for Scott Sharp and the Delphi team.
Yeah, we're real happy. You know, we struggled a little bit this weekend, and when it's not your day, you need to bring it home in 4th. You know, we're going towards the championship, and I'm pleased with the Delphi guys. They gave me some good stops. We worked hard on the car all day and just fought it a little too much.
What about the race traffic? You had a couple of scary moments there.
It was on the edge of your seat, that's for sure. You know, the track was changing a lot for us, and I was constantly playing with the weight jack and the bars, fighting with the car a bit, trying to just get it as perfect as we could. And yeah, that was the whole secret. The whole secret of this track is getting through traffic, and we knew.
What's a more successful day, when you win a race with a perfect car, or when you bring one home in one piece? It was tough today.
Wind.
All right. See, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing.
It is for Scott Sharp, and undoubtedly he'll be in the winner's circle sometime this year. Of course, he is the winningest driver in IRL competition. Well, it was a race just about like we expected. A lot of traffic, some crashes, but all in all, a great race.
It was a great race. The one thing I didn't really expect, that fuel was going to be such a factor. A lot of guys worried about it, and they went 70 laps, 72 laps actually, on that last load of fuel. So they've got those engines dialed in, too.
And Jason, the first of 13 for us, and we're going to have some fun.
Yes, indeed. I think so. This was a very exciting race. You know, as we knew, the traffic strung out all the way around this oval, and I mean, there were battles going on all over the track, including in the pits. I mean, I didn't expect the traffic in the pits to play as big of a part as it did. I mean, it was really an amazing race, and great competition. Great patience showed by Scott Sharp to bring that ill-handling car home in 4th place. Great patience showed by Billy Boat. You know, I think a great race by everybody.
And now we go to Miami, a track that the IRL drivers have never competed on.
They've never been there. They've tested there a lot, and they've had quite a few crashes. So it's going to be very interesting. They tell me that turns 1 and 2 are completely different than turns 3 and 4. So it's going to take a good setup.
And of course, the 3rd race before we get to Indy will be at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Always a very competitive and fun racetrack. Sam Hornish wins here today. The next stop for the IRL series is the Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami, April 8th, right here on ABC Sports. Join us Saturday at 1 p.m. for the NHL on ABC with regional action. Sam Hornish takes the victory here at Phoenix International Raceway. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence.